Welcome, wildflowers. Welcome, welcome. Today is a lot. I'm going to go with this. It's sort of like diving off the deep end, right? For me. And I have to temper the difference between the way, how much I enjoy diving off deep ends and making sure I'm doing it for the right reasons. Just going to psych myself up a little bit. Thoth wants me to talk and keep talking, empty. He says I'm not emptying. It gives me some sense of control over all this. Seems preposterous sometimes. Can't overemphasize that. I've got this. The way to unlock truth beyond this lifetime is to be in it. And so we can be given pieces, and I need to occupy those pieces, even though I can't see what's beyond it. Now, for those of you who understand, this is chin chakra stuff. So the chin chakra is a magical, look, this is a superpower, okay? We're learning to activate our ability to step into reality deeper than we can see. So no matter how mature, how effective, how expert you are in your life at anything, there's always a new, right? There's always stepping into a space where you're kind of like a little child again. And it gets harder on a certain level, particularly as you're respected or appreciated in life for whatever it is you do. It can get harder to occupy this childlike space. And I've been obsessed with it. I've been obsessed with keeping this. I want to disclaim briefly, I feel preposterous telling you this, okay? I'm not sitting here in complete confidence in what I'm saying. And yet, again and again and again, I'm having it reinforced to me. I've been in these chambers beneath the Great Pyramids. I've been there. I know them. I feel them. And as I say that, I occupy the space, the confidence within myself, and it's like waking up out of a haze. I know these spaces. The reason there are 8 cylinders is because they're musically tuned. They're channeling energy. Channeling. The pyramids were always a focal point for these extraordinary excursions. The reason it's been interpreted as a ship is because you're capable of traveling to other star systems. More importantly, you're capable of receiving the spirit of other star systems. You're capable of negotiating with other star systems. It tunes you. And depending on when you hold ceremonies, depending on when in the cycle of the year, depending on when in the cycle of thousands of years, these ceremonies were held and where they were held in the different pyramids. And there are many chambers that have not been unlocked that fulfill different roles in this kind of attunement. The reason this matters so much is because opening these chambers is not the cause of, it is a direct result of, and yet it will cause other rippling effects. This is an expression of tuning humanity to the heart of the earth. Humanity has not been attuned with the heart of the earth. We've been attuned to sub-frequencies. We've been attuned in kiddie pools of energy on purpose so that our consciousness would not damage other aspects of reality. The horrible interactions that have been normal in humanity must not get out. This has always been an imperative. Rape, murder, theft, these are not patterns that are acceptable at all. And they are analogous to ways in which people could theoretically behave, beings could theoretically behave. We can't allow those analogous patterns to escape. Thus, we've been placed in sub-vibrations. So they're not just kiddie pools, they're isolated in frequencies that are out of touch with the rest of reality. Such has not always been the case. Now, understand, I want to keep doing handstands. It's just like a better focal point for me. Understand, I speak with Thoth every day, all day, frequently, at any given moment. He has a special way of getting my attention, and I follow it. It's very gracious, very loving. And I'm capable enough at this that I'm able to weave this into a seemingly normal life. Now, my wife and kids would not necessarily agree that I'm anything normal, but it's normal for them to be like, hey, come here. We need to make dinner. Nonetheless, I'm relatively capable at talking and having a conversation with him at the same time. And this enables me to do these live feeds and regularly check in. And I've always been doing it this way, but he's encouraging me to be more seamless, more transparent. So that being said, it still feels remarkably preposterous. And yet I continue. I want this to get out. Get out. I realize multiple people, tons of people think I'm a fraud. It's not pleasant to deal with. I probably have doubted myself more than almost anybody. And I've got a lot of insight that's needed. First of all, don't channel straight down. Don't do it. You're going to mess with the acoustics. It's deep. It's powerful. I think they'll figure this out already if it hasn't already been figured out. He's assuring me they have. What that means is there's a range of people who already knew about this, and this is about revealing it to the rest of us. Now, it's been kept secret for the right reasons. When you release awareness of this chamber, you're doing something to human consciousness itself. And to appreciate why this matters so much, you have to recognize what's been going on all the time. And I've tried to explain parts of this. Today, we're going a lot deeper. So first of all, this is your opportunity to leave. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. It only hurts a little because the clip of my hat hit my head. So here's how it goes. When you learn this, the presence that activates within you is working in relation to humanity itself. We've always been forging humanity. One of the simplest ways to explain this is imagine reality is just a blank slate. If you're going to create something, it's like you're introducing frequencies. And where are you going to start? Wow, this is still burning. Whew. This is still burning. So, from this very beginning point, you're making a choice. Once you generate, woo! Hi, Benjamin. I'm putting my sage outside. It won't stop burning. Thank you for appreciating me as I am. I'm grateful to you. The primary goal as far as Gaia is concerned, the primary goal in generating humanity is to create a consciousness that functions as an extension of herself. So she's invited a lot of us to be here and to be a part of what she is. You could think of this as, you might want to start with the idea of like a class in a school, like a class of people invited in for, the class of 2025. But it's deeply more sacred than this. You're becoming a part of what she is. This is like, this is very, very present, very functional, very full of surrender. We surrender so deeply. We're shattered. We're torn apart. We're severed from what we used to know on a certain fundamental level. The primary frequency that we're tuned to in the creation of humanity is hers. It's hers. It's of her heart. Now, it's not quite this simple, but you can function with an awareness of the Schumann resonance, which you may know was remarkably consistent for a long time and started changing a little while ago, a little more than a decade ago. When this change occurred, it started rippling through all of what we know of as humanity, because humanity was built on these vibrations. But much of humanity was actually not built on the Schumann resonance. What we were doing is we were creating two things at once. Now, again, this is an oversimplification, and it can be helpful to just begin with this appreciation. It's like the abridged version, all right? The core of humanity was being created in relation to the Earth's heart, the Schumann resonance. The pause is real. It's just think of it as her heartbeat, okay? The Schumann resonance isn't her heartbeat. It's functioning in relation to her heartbeat. So the Earth herself has a heartbeat, and this could be appreciated more as where her consciousness is centered. And she's conscious. She's conscious in a very specific, personal, present way. Then subfrequencies. So off to the side, off to the side. And it's akin to taking your guitar and just changing the dials, changing the knobs so the strings are put in these separate places. Now, this is analogous for the fundamental frequencies of different cultures. So we're talking a lot of them. Many different cultures were functioning in relationship to subfrequencies. And there's an extraordinarily intricate story that perhaps one day we'll be able to map and tell of how many different subfrequencies have been used, how they function in relation to what was created, how the languages themselves rest in the morphic fields of our consciousness on these frequencies, and how they were always interacting and functioning in relationship to relative harmonies. Now, the intricate way in which these different frequencies were set in relationship to each other created war. It created trade. It created cultural integrations. It created cultural separations. So essentially, by changing the dials on these frequencies, the entire range of people who thought on those frequencies were affected and shifted. The simple version of the reason this happened is because we had a lot of karmas to digest. So whenever there was a fundamental range of frequencies we wanted to move through, smush them, transmute them, and move on, we put them on subfrequencies that were out of harmony with the core. And then we periodically, through the course of different historical transitions, periodically, the core root of Gaia's heartbeat would spear through, inducing saints, sages, and other dramatic and fundamentally positive transformations. When a very loud, strong vibration of Gaia's heartbeat ripples through all of it, it functions to put other vibrations in perspective. So vibrations that are subfrequencies out of harmony with nature, Gaia's nature, whenever they've been dominant, and then suddenly this extraordinary wave of heartbeat energy moves through, the power dynamics immediately shift, and everything we know to be real shifts along with it. Now, this happens in cycles, historical cycles. For those of you who are new, you can revisit many of the classes because we periodically address this issue. It's very complicated on a certain level, but the basic trust is to appreciate humanity in its relatively current version has been around for a little over 12,000 years. beings from Atlantis came into the frequencies that were created as humanity. Now, many have known this as a fall, but the point is, coming from a very rich, deep, wonderful, loving, intricate presence on Earth, and then saying, we're going to create it's a whole new art form. It's called human. It's a new cycle of human. We're going to start it, and then we're going to invite people into it. So the thing to trust is that some of us were here beforehand. We chose to invest into this new version and invite a lot of others in. In this invitation, this is long term. This is long term. You're not just coming for a life. You're dying to yourself. You're starting over here, and you're agreeing to be born again and again and again. The halls of Amenti are space where souls can be. Now, it might seem preposterous to you, but first of all, you have to differentiate from material reality. When your soul's coming to Earth, your soul has a very different existence. It's not elemental in the same form as wood. So, inviting you to consider that it's possible for a consciousness to be present in the magma of the Earth, it's a very different story. The beings who were starting this incarnation cycle, and I hesitate, even though again and again and again, I'm invited to say, I've been here all along. And I do. I have memories from Atlantis. When we started this, we knew full well that the time would come when we'd have to dissolve much of what we were creating, that much of the creation of humanity was going to be destroyed on purpose because it only existed to help digest karma. So as joyful in a certain respect, as creative in a certain respect as it was always not just temporary, but really finite. So this is the story of history in so many forms. And then there's the deep changes. So to appreciate what's been going on, you have to understand at the very beginning of this cycle, the end of the Younger Dryas period, through the Younger Dryas, the foundations of the energy, the vibrations of what was going to be human were being laid. And they were being laid intentionally. And one of the ways they were being created was through dramatic ceremony. So those of us who came from Atlantis, okay, so look, I'm scared. I don't like the idea that this translates further into people who know me in my life thinking I'm just batshit crazy. I don't appreciate that. I live in a fairly normal life. I go out to dinner. I go out to lunch. We go to the park. We meet people. It's awkward, to say the least. So I just have to move through these. We held ceremonies. In these ceremonies, vibrations from the earth were channeled into these chambers and then channeled up through the pyramids. Now, there's a reason there's an I at the top of that dollar. When one person was in a particular chamber, while many people were in the giant underground chamber. So one person was in the chamber of one of the pyramids. And then many people were several people could be in different chambers sometimes. It didn't always work that way, but it could. And many people were in the deep chamber, the underground space. It's akin to a city. An enormous amount of energy was harmonized with the Earth's heartbeat and then related with the universe. So what we're doing is we're uniting spirit and soul. Spirit's the energy from the earth, soul's the energy from the sun. We're uniting it here to generate the resonance of humanity. It was literally like painting the vibrations that were the foundation of what humanity would be. So it's like creating the canvas. That's what we were doing, was creating the canvas. And this took thousands of years, plural. Now, over the course of this time, we're talking about those of us who came from Atlantis coming into this reality. This reality was being formed But much of the world through its elemental structures, earth, water, air, fire, much of this existed and has existed before and will continue to exist. Now, to beings from Atlantis who had gone through this whole evolution and gotten to a certain pinnacle of, by certain measures, what you could say technology, but studying in a very different way, explored, expressed in a very different way. What are your priorities when you understand life here? Your priorities definitely involve living in such a way that is not nearly as damaging. Now, this isn't like airy-fairy. This is like very practical. When you understand what it does to you to have microplastics in your body, you don't use plastic as a fundamental foundation of a society. When you understand what it does to you to be out of harmony with the cycles of the day and the night and the rhythmic seasons and even the precession of the equinoxes, when you understand what it means to be out of harmony with these cycles, you don't live in a way that's out of harmony with these cycles. Therefore, you don't surround yourself with stimuli that overwhelm the stimuli that keep us in tune. I want you to be practical about why this worked, because those of us who chose to stay were a subset of those who were in Atlantis. Everybody didn't stay. Those of us who chose to stay did something really cool for the first several thousand years. We lived in tune with the earth. The emphasis was on elemental creation. The emphasis was on, you could call it technology, but the point is to learn to relate to this. If I know fully that my body is not my own, if I know fully that my spirit is occupying my body and I'm trying to invite my soul to join, if I know this, then I start to realize, well, maybe I could occupy this as well. No. Go away. Hey, what's up, dude? I'm on. I'm live right now, but I can call you afterwards. I love you, man. Just sending a prayer. That was important. When I know that I can occupy these, I can bend it as certainly as I can bend my finger. This is what we did. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm relaying what flows into me. It's almost like I can see this much in front of my face spiritually. And I share what I see, and then I step forward. And if I don't share this, then I don't get to see the next. It's daunting. It's really daunting. Thousands of years of extraordinarily advanced, intricate life were happening between 12,800 years ago and 6,000 years ago. The traditional understanding is around 6,000 years ago, humanity started building more stuff. The original pyramids were built 12,000 something years ago, closer to 13. When they were built to facilitate these ceremonies, period. That was their point. The point was to channel soul and spirit together, to harmonize them, to create the palette, the canvas of human, the palette and the canvas of human reality. Once they were created, it was set in motion. They'd serve their purpose for that time. And so setting them aside and learning to tune in and live with the earth, live with the trees, live in relationship to the harmonies that we're able to create, sing with nature. It's not just singing in tune with the birds, it's singing in tune with the rhythms beneath what the birds sing. It's being part of the rhythms that the birds sing. It's riding the wind. It's finding the winds of spirit every day as the most important news you can tune into. And that's how we lived for thousands of years. Why aren't there all sorts of stuff, artifacts found? Well, some is. It's just misdated. But that wasn't the emphasis. To be in tune with life in the world every day was to be in tune with life in the world every day, to be simple, to not interfere. When you appreciate that a mountain has consciousness, you don't drive a tunnel through that mountain for anything but the best and most important of reasons. You spend hundreds of years in certain cases, tuning in to ask if it's hundreds. Did you hear me? Hundreds of years tuning in to ask if it's okay to drive that tunnel. When you live in such a way, if you break it, if you go against your awareness, you lose your ability to be in tune, which means in those cases, you lose everything about what makes life best. I have had a very difficult time remembering those lifetimes. I really want to, but it's hard to, because as I do, I get extraordinarily upset at the way we live our lives now. The more you tune in to what it was like to live in such deep harmony, the more painful it is to recognize how we're living now. So there are certain thresholds of tolerance that are hard to pass. So what we're circling into is bringing this consciousness back to life. This is the purpose. This is the point. This is the goal. Bringing this consciousness to life and bringing it to life for all of us, which means for everyone who wants it enough. Wanting it enough means you dream into being in tune with the earth. You dream into and you value the ways of life, the aspects of being alive that are part of what you could be now. What you could be now. The simple version of the things I say often and that many of you find quite wonderfully on your own. Walk barefoot, touch the water, push the edge of the elements, push the edge of the heat and the cold that you can tolerate. Breathe every day, get out in the sun, get out in the rain, feel the rain, enjoy the rain, wear natural clothing. Wear natural clothing. Try to get plastics off your body. Really, certainly touching your body. Change your socks and your underwear, your t-shirts to natural fibers. Be in tune in the ways that work. The more you do this, the more your consciousness can open another level, another step. And the more you do that, the more you can see even deeper. Now, the reason this matters is because there are thresholds of tolerance. You could go a little crazy at every shift. Awakening is not like it didn't happen like a push button. This is a very deep interpretation of the word awakening. We're learning to understand something for which awakening is a good word, but really we're going to need all sorts of other words. You've heard a lot. Inuit have 30-something names for snow because they differentiate. They value all the intricate distinctions. They're deeply meaningful. Has the snow been here a long time? Has it been here without ever melting? Has it been here in a way that's packed and you could stand on? Has it been here in ways that could make blocks? Has it been here in a way that could ruin the fabric of your clothing? All sorts of different measures matter. So we're getting that into the process of awakening. The process of awakening involves navigating these different thresholds. And there are reasons you can't do it all at once. And I know many of you have tried. I certainly did. I dove as deep as I possibly could all at once. And right off the bat, I went straight into this chamber. So I was in the Queen's chamber. It was something of a transcendental reality. 3 days, no food, no water, lots of preparation. The energy's channeled through the pyramid and down beneath it. Everyone in the chambers below is part of the ceremony, and they can go in shifts, and they're being changed. They're being changed. The entire creation of humanity worked this way. We were painting the canvas to begin with. We were designing the rhythms that have been underneath the rhythms that have been underneath the rhythms that you know of as reality. And then we set them into motion. And then we stopped messing around with those. To re-access this space is to awaken everything that was there in the beginning. And when we awaken everything that was there in the beginning, the lies all evaporate. And when the lies all evaporate, most of what you know of as real evaporates. Now, this is where the importance of trusting certain basic understandings really matters. You have to change your relationship to language. Language was always seeded. If you think of it in a strict linear historical context, you're not going to be able to appreciate how this worked. Wow, am I scared? They're telling me I've already shared the most important parts. 30 minutes. In a couple minutes, I'm going to take another yoga break. I might interact with you guys. I got to ground down. I can barely believe I got at the most important parts. Look, the deep trust right now is there are so many things going on, and there are so many things to ride, so many ways to ride these changes. Trust that what's happening in the world is good. It's fundamentally good. There is no goodness in a lot of the injustice that's being carried out. But the thing to appreciate is these forms of injustice, destruction, violation have always been going on throughout the historical context. And the goal is to end them completely. So when they rise to the surface and we stare at them, like in my country, in the United States, we're now a little bit more capable of appreciating. There are several stories of men who have been essentially abducted in order to scare the rest of us and sent to El Salvador in these extraordinarily brutal, high lockdown prisons. Now, this kind of thing has been happening since humanity began. It's always been happening. It's just that the collective psyche couldn't tolerate how awful it is. So for a long time, it was just like, make sure that's not me. And then more recently, certain subsectors of our society that go to college largely and have felt safe have been able to believe that these things are mostly behind us. And they weren't, because systems of control have always been taking random people off the streets who didn't deserve it, locking them up, and it's functioned to scare everybody else into compliance. So it served a role that a lot of the people carrying it out knew exactly what was going on. This has never stopped, but it's happening in a way that could be national news because it's time to stop it. So the joy of realizing that it is time to stop these patterns is what must drive us. It has to be what drives us, because the hope embedded in this is it's a fountain of love from the heart of the earth herself. Now I'm going to take a little yoga break. I'm going to invite you to as well. So you get to be present. I think a lot of you are just deeply trusting in a way that's humbling to me. Thank you. I take no offense at your doubts. As I've said, I continue to doubt myself. There is no shame in doubt. It's good to work with doubt. It's a window into deeper places. So it's how we engage our doubts in life. It's how we stay present with the different stimuli that help us think and live a normal life amidst waking up incredible depths of reality, perceptions of spirit, awareness of daily telepathic abilities. It has taken me 2 decades, really 25 years, to come to terms with my telepathic abilities. I fried myself and I went straight into memories from over 10,000 years ago. That is a bit much, and it's helpful to have a context to help you understand that. So Try this, because this is how it works. What you do is, it's okay to doubt, but you put yourself in the perception that you're being invited into. So you're starting to talk with an angel. You're starting to relate with their consciousness. It doesn't begin in English. It begins vibrationally. And it begins with kind of this like, dong. And the question is, are you going to put this dong first? Are you going to allow this tone, this spiritual tone, to be centered in your consciousness? So you put that tone first, then you're allowed to create a little more and see a little more. And as I've said, if you saw it all at once, wouldn't make sense, drive you crazy, would just deteriorate your life dramatically. So we're given these thresholds. If you're going to embrace the fact that angels and earth guides are present, if you're going to embrace the fact that I'm this competent, this capable of relaying what many of them are saying, that I've been practicing for 25 years and I'm pretty good at it, I'm telling you that learning to work with the 12 chakra system is the dominant theme that they request me to share. Now, it is remarkable how challenging it is to make that shift from just sort of like fascinating on the channelings to going into the work itself. The work of integrating your awareness of the 12 chakras will lead you straight through to the Atlantean roots of our society. Might take a while, might take a year or two. In our experience, about 2 years of dedicated deep work, and you're going to start to get direct communication you can trust. And this is presuming it wasn't always already happening for you. Now, if it is already happening for you, this is going to bring coherence. This is the art of tuning your consciousness and staying tuned. So what you're choosing to do is have a Gaian heartbeat vibrations dominant in your consciousness. Now, you see and sense and are present with the rest of your reality, but you're learning to navigate life putting this first. And to put this first, there's an art to doing it. You can learn it. And that is much of what we do together. So this week, we are launching a new membership. It's called a Courses membership, the course of tuning into Gaia's heartbeat. It's a holistic future. This is an invitation into an integration of medicine and spirituality. This is an integration of scholarship, a sacred mystery school for now, only it doesn't have to be secret anymore. And what it looks like practically is you sign up for a membership, you pay a monthly fee, you get a course right away. You get the Sacred Creatures course. It's what Thoth most wanted me to teach you. I spent 10 years writing this book. It took me 10 years to understand everything in this book. 10 years. And when I say that, yes, I want some credit and respect for it. I had to distance myself from all reality and accept a lack of respect and purpose and participation. I had to be out of touch. I didn't listen to music. I didn't watch television. I didn't participate in much so I could hear. And I most importantly want to assert to you, this is what Thoth has said. It's most important that you learn. So that's where you start. You start this course, you get the course right away. You pay the membership and you're committing to pay for 6 months. If you quit, you lose the course. That's all. But you're getting it right away. And people have repeatedly said that this would make a big difference for them to essentially be able to pay in installments of $55. Now, we're going to add to that, you get participation in the sanctuary. So you're part of our community. This is awesome. When I sat down as a healer, I was introduced to healing work by paying for yoga classes, a yoga training, and weekly sessions, sometimes multiple sessions a week when I was at my worst. Me and my family paid a lot of money. Me and my family had that money at the time. We inherited some from my grandparents when they died. And I made it a priority. I put it completely first. Nonetheless, I was aware everybody can't do this. This is not going to be functional for everyone in the world. So a new kind of model is to say, we take care of each other. So I'm still here. I'll give you a check-in every 6 months. You'll get an overview of your spirit, like a holistic groove doctor. And we're networking you. We want you to share, to learn, to grow, to put out there exactly what you're going through, to see if other people understand, to have people who learn something from me teach other people, to have those who learn a lot and love to serve in this way to go deeper and train. So that's the next level. There's a training. So once you complete the first course, you can keep doing the next 3 courses. There are 4. And so you could participate, just stay in that membership cycle, and you'll get a course every 6 months and a session every 6 months, offset by 3 months. That's the gift of the membership, along with participation in the community. The next level is a training membership. Now it's a teacher training. It'll take at least a year if you do it as fast as possible, but you don't have to. You could do it asynchronously, because the knowledge is put into these courses. The strict, you got to learn this. There's a degree of memorization and practice, but the participation, the weekly participation, is asynchronous, meaning, I don't even think that's the right way to use the word. It's asynchronous in terms of there is constant dialogue in the community, but it's also, we gather every week. You can come, but if you're near the end of the 4th course or starting the 2nd course, everybody's together. We ask questions together. I share insights from a challenge I've had that week. We share insights from the lightning sessions. We talk about it. I'm doing my best to teach all of you who are ready and willing to learn exactly the best of what I was taught. And the beauty of this is, after a couple of years, that's general, but after a couple of years, you will start to get direct guidance yourself. Now, that might seem preposterous. I'm not able to promise that it will work for everybody, but it's working for multiple people who stay committed to this work, getting direct guidance that's the same guidance I get. I can confirm, I can talk to a teacher within Thoth's ephemeral school, and this is how it works. This is how it's always worked. There has been a school with Thoth throughout all of human history. Beings that are not incarnate now, some of them have never been incarnate in this human cycle. And they've been guiding us, and we can talk to them, and they will tell me the same things they tell you, and we can reference that. And it's fucking awesome. It is beautiful. It is transcendent. It is a reason to live. It is a reason to dig deep and appreciate and navigate through the challenges. And it's the way to stay sober, hopeful, inspired during times of incredible change and turmoil. I hope you will consider these memberships. Please write into us and ask your questions. There will be multiple times to do this in the future. You begin when you're ready. Visit the website, wildflowerfire.com, to learn more. So, for funsies, I never say that. Heather, do you say that? I was just staring at your name. Heather K. I just said for funsies. Do you say for funsies? Because I never say that, and I just said it. I love having a challenge going at most times. So I invigorate myself by popping up and taking a little yoga break. But often, sometimes I want that to be rejuvenating, and sometimes I want that to be difficult. And when it's difficult, it gives me the thrill of making progress, of raising my heartbeat quickly and deeply. I cannot encourage you enough to always have this kind of challenge. It's a cornerstone of, once you join the courses, we start to prompt you to do this. When you join the training, it's relentless. What's your challenge? How you doing? It's a part of our updates. Like, you really want to build this into your life, because if you're doing enough of the chakra yoga, and I emphasize, this kind of yogic movement was present in Egypt. Bless the living soul of the Indian yogis who brought it to the world. It has been their inheritance, our inheritance through them, and the gift that they bring to the world coming out of their rays of light. And they are channeling energy that reawakens a lot of ancient traditions. And much of this is influenced by ancient Egyptian sacred movement. When you do enough of this throughout the course of your week, and this is what we're teaching in the courses, when you do enough of this, you're ready. So you can be ready at any given moment. I did a good practice this morning. I'm capable of taking on difficult challenges for the rest of the day. If I don't practice for 3 days, I try to do a handstand, I might not get it. But if I've been practicing enough, I'm close enough to my edge that I don't need to warm up much. I can just go right at my challenge. I cannot encourage you enough to want this. You don't have to have it as a It doesn't have to be a handstand. It doesn't matter. You do enough yoga, any of you do enough yoga, and then you can push at your challenge, whatever it is. You know, for some people, that's standing on one leg. For some people, that's doing crow. For some reason, for some people, that's a wide angle forward bend. You have to be totally awesomely okay. Do you know this guy Hampton? I love this guy. He's stretch and strength and mostly body weight exercises on YouTube. Really like this guy. He just did a brilliant video like where he made fun of men who won't do knee push-ups. Now, look, if you're just completely divorced from the rest of the world, you don't think about other people's opinion and insight, you could just be, can you do 10 push-ups? If you got all self-judgment and all fears of external judgment out of your mind, you would just be practical about this. What you want to do is find the exercises that you can do 10 of. Between 8 and 12 is a great number of reps. Once you can do 12 easily, you get something harder. Now, a lot of people, though, a lot of men in particular, won't do push-ups on their knees because that's not, you know, whatever. They have a negative association. Like it makes, I don't even need to use the words, right? That is the kind of mental error that people are making all the time. You want to identify with a certain threshold, but you're not there and you're not willing to be honest with yourself about where you are because it brings up depression. So you're avoiding the truth of your reality in a way that's fundamentally detrimental to your physical experience. What we're going for is to find exactly the challenges for you and to get you in this groove where you're doing exactly the yoga practices that are perfect for you. And thus you can take on your challenges on a regular basis and you will improve. And it's the joy of improvement that brings you into this life. It's the joy of building your heart rate while you get a little bit better and you watch the changes that 3 weeks and 3 months create. This fundamentally changes everything in your life. It starts to give you the confidence that you can take on all of your other challenges. It's a way to bring this sacred relationship to yourself, your mind, your prayers into daily life as normal. I can't encourage you to do it enough. My recent challenge is these handstand dances. So I've been working on this for 3 months. I haven't wanted to share it, 4 months maybe. I've wanted this for years and I knew I couldn't get there yet. So I set it aside and I worked on all the steps. I did my push-ups on my knees, basically. You just identify what you can do and you keep doing that. And when I say what you can do and still you want to be tired, you want to be a little worn down, but you want to be happy. If you're not happy, it's not the right practice. If it doesn't give you a sense of like, awesome, I did that, then it's not the right practice. One more try. I can't do it without my hat or my glasses fall off. Oh, that's a prayer. A little bit of a thump. I didn't make enough of a decision whether I was going to roll or not, but here, 1 second. It's good when you slip and thump a little to go back at the position in which you thumped, but a little more gently. It just kind of takes the fear out of your body so the fear doesn't lock you up. If you're harsh on your body, particularly as you get older, Fear will stay in your body and it'll clamp. And then people say, I pulled a muscle, but you didn't pull it right away. You created the potential to pull your muscle when you went too far. And then the way you responded to that experience ends up damaging you. Once last year while I was practicing I wanted to practice doing handstands outside. So I just started doing it wherever I went. I'm like doing it on the sidewalk. And I went up too abruptly because I like doing spontaneous too. I like practicing doing it quickly. And I just flat out thumped over. I didn't roll and I just fell on my back. And I could have fallen apart. I could have been like, oh God. And I didn't want to. So I immediately went up right away and then just slowly let myself down. And I remember that response. And what I actually left with was the confidence that it's not so bad when I fall. It's a thump, but it's worth it. It's worth it because it gives me the confidence to keep doing it. I can put up with that level of jolt to my system. And I did it. I broke through, got my handstands, got a 30-second one on my birthday. It's the art of this that keeps me going. And I'm just going to, I'm going to dance with this as long as I can in my life. Like, we'll see how long I can pull this off. I was originally inspired by one of my first teachers, Dharma Mitra, very well-regarded fellow. He was 65 and he was springing up in handstands in the class he was teaching. I'm like, I won't be able to do that. It's good to have long-term goals. I was 25. All right, people, I'm feeling decent. What I shared today, I'm going to go over it. I'm going to tune in. I'm tuning into my teacher in Thoth's temple. The temple is a school, is a healing center. It's a spiritual space. It's a psychic space. You tune into it and you can learn. And then it differentiates. Different teachers will guide me. I know several by name, and sometimes they give me to unnamed adepts who lead me. So right now she's just saying, I got you. You told them enough of the truth. There's a little more I'd like you to share. You do not have to go there. You can go there. The fact that some people are going there will make the difference. You can be afraid. There are reasons to be afraid. It is unleashing demons in a certain regard, but you're fully capable of handling them as a species. What they really are is the shards of karmic presence that gathered and went to sleep, and they will awaken in certain ways before they completely dissolve. You're saying goodbye to them. You're recognizing the true depths of humanity by appreciating the foundations and the boundaries of what human was. Many eras have been almost completely forgotten to such a deep extent that it's barely possible to get your consciousness in tune with them, much less to remember the details. In order to reclaim the full arc of human history, you have to come to terms with being in relationship to what you will experience as demonic presences that drove the mysteries of the wars. They were Nephilim. They were beings who were fundamentally not human. They incarnated as humans, but more generally, they guided humans who were corrupted and broken by their karmas. The purpose of this was to keep the cycle moving. You do not need to understand more of that other than they are leaving now. But to leave, they have to be released. And in their release, there is fear and pain. If you are needed, you tune into us and you keep praying, how may you serve? It is this simple. It's enough. That's what she felt was missing. If you have any questions, I think I can focus on them. But I can't read backwards. It's too much for me right now. The lion. Yes, indeed. The Kabbalion, the Emerald Tablets. Cornerstones of Hermetic wisdom. It's really important to appreciate these mystery schools, the Eleusinian mysteries in Greece, the Rosicrucians, and many others, but these are the important ones to study. Spiritualism at the end of the late 1800s was a revitalization of Rosicrucian guidance. This legacy has always been guided by the same beings with Thoth. Now, it's not quite as simple as he's in charge. It's necessary to understand it that way from a human perspective. And we are perfectly welcome to just call it his. It makes it easier. Thoth is Hermes, for those of you who do not understand these. The consciousness you can embody is not an absolute expression of, the same. When Thoth is hanging out with his people, they're thinking and being and sharing and exchanging and communicating in ways that are well beyond anything we're about to claim ourselves. So we're being invited into an interim space for all intents and purposes where we can engage with them consciously at a much greater depth than what we know of as human communication. Nonetheless, it's quite fundamentally less complex and dynamic than how they live and think and grow. So to appreciate what's happening is we're being invited into this space, and it'll last you the rest of your life. All right. It offers thrills of joy and understanding that the Kabbalion in particular is a fundamental cornerstone. It'll give you a basic awareness of the outline of reality, and particularly appreciating that our mind and vibration are essentially interchangeable. So our mind generates vibration, and vibration generates our mind. And if you can really get yourself in tune with this realization, so much is revealed. The simple version is, of heart-mind coherence, I hope. Studying with the Heart Math Institute and Joe Dispenza in particular, many others. Greg Braden talks about it plenty. Bruce Lipton. The way to appreciate these dynamics is when we tune our mind to the basic rhythms of gratitude, appreciation, love, compassion. That unlocks something in our heart. The neurons in our heart and our mind start to work together. This tunes the frequencies through your whole channel. John Valu calls this the breathing tube from your crown to your root, down below you, up above you. When you tune the vibration that you're sending through this whole channel and you get a much purer vibration, first of all, you can't unless it's in tune with your third eye and your heart. You can't have a fundamental rejection in your heart, or you're not going to get the whole channel to vibrate well. So once you get this going, you can learn to feel that vibration. Once you feel that vibration, you can begin to change it based in feeling and intent. So you've got that vibe going, and the simplest version is you can enhance it with your breath. You don't have to keep mentalizing it. You don't have to keep thinking harder. You don't have to double down on your affirmation. You can just go, get your breath going. Bring it to life like a little fire. This is a cornerstone of the wisdom that we're being taught. We are an extension of this same sacred ancient mystery school. They're here. They're right here. And it's my job to help you talk with them. Now, I know a lot of you already know how. Maybe you've got more to learn. Who knows? Who knows? White Rose, thank you for being here. Yes, indeed. And quite frankly, many of you, ego apart. Ego apart. Set your ego aside, which means there's nothing wrong with your ego. You just don't want to develop an ego around the idea that you are something you're not, right? Some people, you're in the depths of a trauma, you start to remember a past life, then you exaggerate it in your head and you cling to it. It'll help you avoid your trauma. Some people who feel like your self-worth in your life isn't working, you start resonating with your awareness of spiritual truth. You hold on to it too tight, you make an egoic concept out of it, and it'll help solve the pain of how life isn't working. This is an inappropriate use of ego. So when I say ego aside, what I mean is if you just say truth, 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 I tune with truth. Some of you have a lot to reveal about your past lives that you want. You want to reclaim these. I know you've been doing a lot of this on your own already. Maybe you got something to learn. Stick around. There it is. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Let's see. A little deeper. Now, these shakes. This is one of the next level gifts. Talks about it in the Emerald Tablets. It is in my experience, it is a fundamental necessity if you're going to play any kind of public role. Meaning, if you're going to let other people know what you're learning and you're going to start putting it into effect, you're going to start to take on more negative energies. When you take on those negative energies, what I'm literally saying is an energy that's out of tune with the life you're trying to create. So it is functioning negatively to what you're trying to create. If you're going to do that, you're going to come into awareness that essentially you're seeing the dimensions of reality around you, and you're starting to recognize how many ways in which you're being drawn towards. Everybody's got their games, right? Everybody's got their games that help them cope with life, help them fundamentally function in the world day to day. And it's likely these games surround their desire to digest their own karma, their desire to avoid their own karma. And when you vibrate vibrantly, when you're resonant and light, you're an attractive recruit. People are going to want to recruit you into their way. And the truth is, you'll be able to participate in a way that makes their life a lot better. If you're going to do that, you're going to be retuning at least some of the strands of your life force into them. When you do that, you have to be able to detune. Now, I'm a little rough and tumble. I dive straight into things. I take on resonance. Got something there. That's really bothering me. Somebody wants to talk to me psychically, and I'm saying no. That's enough. I always reference the school. Typically, I just hear Thoth's voice himself saying that's enough. It's darkness. It's energy that's fundamentally out of tune with the heartbeat vibrations of human. Meaning, those aspects of being human that are in tune with the heartbeat of the earth, and there are many, and then those aspects that are about karmic digestion and essentially darkness. Now, what we're talking about here is vibrations that light can't pass through. Soul can't connect with spirit because they're just tweaked. They're subsectors of reality. And if you tune them and you're trying to be present with the light of the world and the light of the sun, you can't see through it. This is what you shake. This is what you can shake. Now, there are multiple references to this within the Emerald Tablets. I highly encourage you to explore for it. In the 4th and the 6th book in particular, there's some in the 3rd that are valuable. Incidentally, they also refer repeatedly to the flowers of fire, which I did not know when I accepted this name. The shaking itself could be misused. It's mostly confusing. You have to learn gravity breath, meaning you're breathing while you're feeling more deeply into the earth. You're developing roots with the ground. You're feeling the presence of down. That's what brings you back to the heartbeat. The simple version is if you can't feel gravity, you're out of tune with the heartbeat. It's enough. It's enough. And then you can shake willfully knowing that you're going to tune in. Now, when some presence, some conscious presence is trying to grab your attention and it's trying to pull you into its way and it's out of tune with the heartbeat of the earth, you need the keyring. The keyring is at the foundation of all of the work we do. It retunes you with the mystery school. It tunes you into the sacred potential and possibility of your body. It puts you in a position where you can read your own energy vibrantly, quickly, and act on it. And it also detunes you from all sorts of other things. So if you find yourself in a nasty argument with people who don't respect you and aren't going to adjust for you. If you find yourself in a nasty argument with people you love because for some reason you got drawn out of a healthy flow, the keyring will bring you back quickly. Heart, crown, throat, sacral, nose tip, solar plexus, diamond eye, lungs, root, chin, navel, third eye, heart. Now you'll notice once I can shake, I can tune in quickly and I can immediately discern, is there something in the way? If there's something in the way, I don't stop to evaluate it at all. It's out of tune. I know this. Therefore, I don't engage it. I promise you, and I want to scare you a little, most of you are engaging out of tune vibrations on a regular basis. You don't know you're doing this. And as a result, you invest an enormous amount of energy there. Now, to the extent you have to work on your karma there, cool. But once you've learned enough, you're ready to just say, this is out of tune. I'm not going to stay with it. So I did that once. I'm going to do it again and sort of recognize what I'm doing. Tuning in till I can feel my heart. Man, this is a deep one today, peoples. I get that's enough. I trust it. Crown. It's right there. That's cool to know. Throat. Whoa! Man, something's really trying to shut me up, huh? If you all could just pray, be aware there is a presence here that wants me to be quiet. That's enough. Throat. Cleansed. Sacral. Wow, remarkably clear. Nose tip. Taking decent care of myself. Solar plexus. I still have a little aversion to telling you that we're charging money. Some part of me is an ancient monk that wants to be beyond such things. This is the way it works. I can feel that in my solar plexus. Diamond eye. It's fine. I'll tell you about a dream that I had last night that I'm reminded of. Lungs. Oh, wow. It's enough. Root. I've been too harsh on some of you. You don't need to leave just because you have aversions. Just watch. I can see that in the root. Chin. Whoa. I'm scared. I'm carrying a lot of fear right now. It's okay. Fear is fine. It's a caution. It's enough. Navel. Oh, man. A lot of power going on here. I want to do another handstand. Maybe shouldn't. Probably will. Third eye. Oh, it's not enough. Got it. Whew. Third eye. Look, this is one of the most fundamental tools I want you to learn. I've been doing this for over 10 years every day. It is so helpful. Heart. Oh my goodness. I love you people. What we have to reveal to ourselves is that many of us, some of us have loved each other for thousands of years. I know it sounds preposterous. I'm here to help lay the groundwork for making it normal to think this way. It's amazing. It's awesome. Don't bum rush me. I'm not answering my own messages anymore, and it's so crucial. I want to thank those of you who are helping Angie, Emiliano, and Sarah in particular are doing a lot of the communication right now, a lot of the creation of our next steps. We're doing it as a team. It's amazing. And forgive me, I know for many of you, it would be nice if I was more approachable, but it's overwhelming. And a lot of very intense people show up in this way. And I found that I get out of tune too easily. I'm not by any means perfect at this. I'm doing the best I can. And the discipline of responding in the right time and place, of allowing other people to help bring the most important things to my attention, it's having an incredible impact on my ability to do the best work. So if you want to be a part of what we're doing, it takes investment. You can't just, cannonball in, tell me your story, be witnessed, and leave. That's not how this works. You want to earn it, because it's not just me. There's an incredible community here, and many of us have been around for a long time doing this work. How are we doing, peoples? Oh my God, I went way over. How about that? I love you. I think it was necessary to get that far. Incredible day. One last handstand. Now I get it. I was left with a little bit of fear from the last time. And in my fear, I was indecisive. So when I started going over, I didn't decide whether I was going to pull back down or roll. This time I rolled, and now it took the fear out of it. I could feel the fear like gone from my body. That's so beautiful. So it's important, when you're taking on a challenge, to have a clear sense of what you're going to do. If I'm going a little too far, roll or go back. But getting caught in between, the previous version, if you didn't see, I kind of went straight down in a very awkward way and did clamp my neck a bit. And now that clamp is sort of gone. It's beautiful. So that is a metaphor for many of the challenges we take on in life, and we can do it in our practice. And I feel so much better now. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. Meet you all quite soon. Much love be with you and your family.